How's it going, everybody? Swood here, and today we're going to be talking about the 20-win challenge for the Clash Royale League that Supercell announced, and not just general decks and stuff, but we're going to be giving lots of different strategies for the challenge to make sure that you guys are getting 20 wins and can move on to the next stage to try to get onto a pro team. So, as you guys know, this is going to be a 20-win challenge, not just your regular 12-win. So it's going to be extra hard. There's going to be a free entry. Each one after that is 10 gems. So my very first tip is this challenge is going to be easiest on day one because everyone's going to be using the free entry. Last time there was 27 million people that tried and only 10,000 actually got the 20 win. So I mean, of those 26 million or whatever that didn't get it, majority of them would have tried on the very first day and failed and didn't try again. So make sure you're playing on the first day. That's my first tip. Looking at this challenge, there is a ton of stuff on the line. So even if you don't get 20 wins on the first time, definitely try it again. If you're not even going for the league that's going to be going on with all the pro players, not trying to get drafted that, you still want to get the 20 wins. There's going to be a lot of stuff, 200,000 gold at the end. So for the actual challenge, guys, I'll go over later on in the video some of the best decks that are going to be played, like the most popular decks, and these are going to be decks you're going to be playing 3-5 times in the 20-win challenge. So if you want to be making those 20 wins, you have to make sure you know how to play against these decks and pick a deck that's good against those. But that will be later on in the video. So first off, we just want to go over some general strategies, and these are the things I think people don't really think about but are really impactful for the game. So in this match, you got to win 20 times before you lose 3. That's insanely difficult. One of the first things, if you do have a lot of gems, I think if you set a goal for yourself, if you lose once before like 10 wins, I think you should just sort of fail out and re-enter and try to keep going, because it's really demotivating to get to like 15 wins but you already have 2 losses, and then those last 5 matches from 15 to 20 are insanely tough because you're playing a lot of other really good players, and you're not going to be able to get through there if you don't have an extra life or 2. So for me personally, I'm going to probably, if I don't get to like 12-0, if I'm like 12-1, I think I'll drop out, and if I'm not like 15, if I get 2 losses before 15, I might even drop out depending on how I feel. So that's just something you guys can think about. You don't have to, but it's something that I would recommend, because it's going to take you like 2 hours to get up to like 19 wins, and if you lose on 19-2 from like 12-2, that's going to be really demoralizing. So that's first tip. Other than that though, there's lots of other things. So it's 22 matches or so, so don't sit down and play all of these all at once. I mean, you can, but what I recommend is you're going to be playing 22 matches. That's a lot of brain power. So many things you're going to have to be thinking about during the match. What their deck is, you have to identify their deck right at the very start. What's your game plan against that deck, and then trying to count their cycle and their elixir and seeing where you can exploit them and all those. So that's a lot of different stuff you have to be doing the match. To do that back-to-back 22 times in a row, I just don't think you're going to be able to play at the same level. What I think you should be doing is take some breaks in between. Not just take a break and go on your phone, but like think about the deck, think about the match, what is really working for you, what's not working, how you can change that. So I think if you were able to take like a 2, 3, 5 minute break in between matches, maybe not something you have to do early on in the challenge, but especially once you're later on. For me, if it's really high stake matches like Sus Cup or other things that I'm competing in, like the live events like ESWC or King's Cup, it's really nerve-wracking at the end. So some of you guys might be feeling that for the last couple matches in this. You don't just want to be going in right away shaking with your hands. Take a minute or 2, drink some water, have some breaths, whatever you want to do to get as focused as possible during the match. If that's on call with friends, if you want to put on music, chew some gum, whatever your routine is. I think I definitely recommend you guys have a routine, something you do before every high-stake match you guys are playing in. So if you're doing that, because once you get into a routine, if you do it a lot and it's always during high-stake matches, your body and your mind's going to think, okay, he's doing his routine, this is something really important, we need to focus, we need to be able to make sure we're on our A game for accounting cards and all that. So something that's really underrated, I think you guys should be focusing on, trying to get a routine. That's why you've probably heard your teachers say chew gum while you study and then chew the same gum while you're taking the test. It's to get your mind in that mindset that, okay, this is what I was studying, okay, I remember this. So that's something that I think you guys should really try to do, make a routine, and also take breaks in between. Just all of this is the end goal, is you want to be focusing as much as possible during the matches. So these are some quick tidbits on those topics. I probably will make videos on those things just solely in the future, but I wanted to give you guys those for this challenge. So that's the first part of this video. We're now going to dive into some of the most popular decks and what I think you guys should be playing to beat some of those decks. So if we go over here, I think the most popular decks, the two most popular decks will be this xbow deck, sometimes Mega Minion for skeletons, but either variation, and then this Pekka Hut Zappies deck. So I think these are going to be the two most popular decks. So I think in your 2022 matches, you're going to be playing these at least 3, 4, 5 times. The last time there was a 20-win challenge, if you guys remember, it was log bait with Inferno, sometimes Tornado, but the pros were using Tornado, but the people who were just using it because they were watching videos a while back, they were all using Inferno. They hadn't adapted yet. So log bait Inferno was really popular, and the other most popular one was Hog Mega Knight. So those were the two most popular decks, and if you guys remember, I think I played each of them about 5 times in the 21 matches I played to get my 20 wins. So if you're not able to beat both of those decks with your deck, that's going to be something really bad. So these are going to be the two most popular decks, in my opinion, this xbow and this Pekka Hut. So make sure your deck is able to beat both of these, or if you think you are good with these decks, then you can play these, but you got to make sure you can beat the other decks. So between the two of them, the Pekka deck does have an advantage over the xbow. One thing I'm going to say, if you are a really good xbow player, you're going to be able to beat a lot of the harder decks that you don't have a great matchup against, just because people aren't as used to playing against xbow. And if you're a really veteran xbow player, you're going to be able to outskill some of those matchups. But generally, xbow is not the greatest deck because it's going to be losing against this Pekka Zappies deck. So you're not going to be wanting to play against 5 bad matchups just right off the get-go. So some other decks for the people who aren't really good at either of those decks, Pekka Zappies is probably one of the best decks right now. So if you're looking for a deck to just pick up and you're fairly comfortable with this, I would recommend the Pekka Zappies. It's fairly strong. So these two next decks I'm going to show are decks that counter the Pekka Zappies deck, which is going to be super popular. So this will be Hound Loon. It just doesn't have enough air cards to deal with it. It has Flying Machine, which you can fireball. Zappies don't do a ton of damage, they're just stuns. And then also the Goblin Hut doesn't do that much. So Hound Loon is a really good deck. The minor, they can only have a minor, so you can catch it with like guards and stuff. And also this 3 Musk Minion Horde. Make sure it's a variation with the Minion Horde Goblin Gang, not the Dark Prince Bandit. The reason for this is, again, the Pekka Hut deck doesn't do well with air cards, and most specifically the Minion Horde. So the Minion Horde is going to be really good against that Pekka Hut deck. So if you were struggling against a Pekka Hut deck and you know you're going to be facing it 5 times, you might want to be picking one of these 2 decks. But again, you are going to have to be careful that you're going to play against a lot of xbow. In this deck, a lot of people will play like Dark Prince instead of Battle Ram. That's an option. Also Zappies instead of Goblin Gang. If you're playing a lot of xbow, they're just going to log out your Goblin Gang. But you can throw in the Zappies. They're another poison bait card that aren't as vulnerable to log. So just other things you guys can put in there. And the last deck I actually have on here is this Giant Prince deck. I don't recommend many people play this because there's going to be so much Pekka. But this deck, you're going to be able to beat the Hound Loon, the 3 Musketeers, and the xbow. So just another option of a deck that's going to be really popular. If you're a Pekka player, you're going to love playing against this deck. Also Golem, same thing as the Giant decks. You're going to love playing against those. But those are going to be some of the most popular decks and sort of showing what beats what. So I would recommend probably the Pekka Zappies deck. I think it's the most well-rounded. But if you are playing against people with Hound Loon or 3 Musketeers, which there will be a lot of, you're going to have troubles there. If you're playing xbow, you'll have troubles against the Pekka Hut. And you're also going to have troubles against any Giant or Golem players. And then if you are a Giant player, you're going to have troubles against Pekka. And so, as you guys can see, there's a lot of different matchups that you're going to have troubles with no matter what. So I think the biggest thing is picking a deck that you're comfortable with and being able to focus during the matches, because these aren't going to be the best players in the world that are playing this challenge. Obviously, the best players in the world will be playing this challenge, but you're not going to be playing them 21 times in a row. Out of those 21 matches, you might play 1 or 2 players that are really amazing players in the game. The rest are going to be more average, maybe slightly above average, but I think you guys are going to be able to outplay them if you've been watching my channel and you know all the tactics that I've been sharing. So I definitely think you guys are going to have an advantage on the others. So don't be too afraid of these counter decks or like bad matchups. If you are especially playing xbow, don't be afraid to tie out a matchup. If you are playing the Giant deck, you can play really defensive and you can tie it out with, and even if they mess up, you can win. Just very quickly, for those who haven't watched the 5,000 xbow tutorials I have posted, I definitely recommend you guys watch them. So if you're trying to stop a poison on this tower and your defensive xbow, You go here, you go up 1, 2, 3, 4. They cannot poison that xbow and this left tower. You are welcome. You play your xbow, they have a giant or golem walking down here. You play your xbow right there, you play a Tesla right here in the middle. The giant will walk towards it. They have to choose to either poison your xbow and your Tesla and your tower, or you play archers over here, then they can choose your tower and your archers. So that's 3 different things. You have 4 things on the map, and they can only choose to pick at most 2 of them to poison. So making your opponents choose what to poison is super important with an xbow deck, and I definitely recommend you guys are doing that if you are playing xbow. If you do want to play that, make sure to check out the other videos. I have a lot more tips on that. Same with some of these other decks, but that's not for today's video. So those are what I think are going to be the 5 most popular decks, and also some of the most important strategies. Make sure to take breaks in between. Make sure if you are playing any of these decks, know how to play against those other super popular decks I mentioned. Ask a friend to go in and practice with you. And other than that, guys, remember, take your breaks. Make sure you're focused. Get into a routine. I'll talk about these things more in future videos, but let me know how these go for you guys. I'll post a 20-win deck that I get it with. I haven't decided what I'm going to be doing it with, but you'll see that in a day or 2 when it does happen. Good luck with the challenge tomorrow if you guys are watching it the day of, and let me know if you guys get 20 wins and how many attempts it takes you. Good luck, guys.